Welcome into the Buccaneers Total Access from the Hooters Owl's Nest. I am joined by cornerback Jamel Dean. Jamel, thank you so much for being with us.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man, what a year you've been having. I know we're going to have to talk about this game that was not as fun, but for you, I feel like it's been a really successful start to the season. So first, let's just talk about the defense kind of overall, that you guys came into this game giving up the least amount of points in the whole league. And then now I know, unfortunately, after this last game, that's not going to be a stat that's true anymore. So what just felt different defensively this game as compared to the other ones where you guys had just absolutely locked it down?
I feel like we wasn't locked in this game. You know, maybe it could have been for like what we had to go through this whole week. Not making an excuse, but I'm just saying possible factors.
Yeah.
Like traveling Miami, then traveling back to Tampa, and then you got families to worry about. So it could have been a lot of factors, but there's no excuses. We still got to execute the game plan because they still gonna play the game. They're not gonna show any mercy.
Mm-hmm. So what do you feel like when you talk about executing the game plan? When you look back at some of the things that went wrong, what did it feel like it was that either wasn't being executed, or communication, or what the Chiefs were doing? Big picture, now that you've had a day to kind of process it, what didn't go as well as it had gone in other games for you guys?
I just feel like we wasn't playing for like each other this game. It was more of everybody was just doing their own thing, trying to make a play. But football doesn't work like that. It's a team game. Like everybody has to do their job. So whatever play is called, you have to do it. If not, then it's going to just be chaos.
Yeah, and I would love to hear what Coach's message was for you guys, either during the game or after the game. What did he say were his big thoughts and takeaways for you guys?
It was mainly like just doing your job and just holding each other accountable. He mentioned it early in the week when the way we practice, like, hey, we need leaders that's going to speak, that's going to like hold each other accountable. Because once he always say, he know that we'll be in a good spot when players start like holding other players accountable for their actions. So now now it's starting to sink in. Now like the fact that he's warning us, like he was giving us like the heads up of like what he see. So now the fact that we went out there and performed, now it's like, okay, now we need to like make some adjustments now.
Do you feel like you are at a level in your career now and have been here long enough that you're one of the guys to hold people accountable? And I mean, you have some leaders like Levante, who's been here forever, and even guys like Will Golston, who's been here forever. But at what point do you consider yourself one of those people as well?
I always try to be the guy to lead by example, but eventually I might need to like start stepping out of my shell more, just like being more vocal. Because as growing up, that wasn't always me to be like the guy like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, we need to keep it up. Like I'm gonna stay positive. Like, I'm gonna keep like, hey, look, we still got. It's still more football left in the game. Like we got to keep our composure. But now it's more like, hey man, you're slacking. Like just calling people like on their flaws and stuff. Like that's never been my way of handling things. Mm-hmm. So now I see like you need type of player that's going to like hold you accountable for stuff like that, just to make sure like you don't feel like you're just better than everybody. But like my little core, I like to say like, don't think like your stuff. Don't make it seem like your stuff just don't stink. Cause like it's always gonna come to time where eventually it might stink.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That's a good message, and it's true to be able to look at yourself and see different things maybe asked of you at different points in the year or in your career. And where do you feel like your game is at specifically now as compared to years past that earned you this starting role this year and a bigger role in the defense? What is it about your game that you're proud of at this point and that you feel like has gotten you here?
I'm proud of the fact that how much I'm matured now. Cause like now I'm understanding the game more. It's slowing down for me, and then like I'm starting to like recognize plays and like see like if a team runs a one play, I can recognize it the next time that they're going to set it up. Cause now I feel like that part of my game has just matured for me, making it like a lot easier for me.
Yeah, that's got to be an incredible feeling. And how would you rate your game against the Chiefs on Sunday?
I played pretty decent. Like it wasn't the best, of course, because we gave up 41 points. But I'm not going to be too hard on myself. Like I did what I was capable of doing. Like my guy didn't make any touchdowns. I didn't give up a touchdown. Mm-hmm. I didn't give up any like big plays in man coverage. So I'm just basing all that. So we're gonna just review the film, and then whatever the coaches say, I just like, all right, I'm just correct that.
We're talking to cornerback Jamel Dean. I know that third down has been a big point of emphasis for you guys so far, that each game that's been, even in the games when you guys were locking down and not giving up a lot of points, I know that you gave up more third down conversions than you would like to. And against the Chiefs, it was, I think they started out 9 of 10 on third down, ended up 12 of 17, something like that. What was it specifically on third down in this game, or even just so far this season, that has made getting off the field in those times not as effective as you guys would like?
It just really winning first and second down. So like the Chiefs, they most of their third down situations are always third and short. So it's kind of hard to like even like game plan against, like even like call the right play to even stop that, because they can either run it or pass it, because you're at their mercy. So like if you got them in third and long, they have to pass the ball. But not in that situation there, like we had them in third and long, but then either we would lose contain on the quarterback, and then he would find Travis Kelce somewhere open in the zone, or they'll just be third and short, and they'll just either run it in or just do like some type of trick play to get us on our heel, because we don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Travis Kelce, I mean, obviously it's not like you guys didn't know he was someone that Mahomes enjoys throwing to, in particular on third down. What makes him so difficult to try to cover, to try to contain, even when you know that there's a good chance that he's going to be the target?
I mean, he's fluid in his route run, and he can recognize zones, and he's able to find the open hole in the zones every time while Mahomes on the run. And then Mahomes know that he's going to go to him, so they have like some type of connection where it's like, hey, just if I scramble this way, sit in this zone right here, I'm going to find you. Like no matter what, it may not look like I'm looking at you, but I'm looking at you.
And I know that there was the challenge for you guys even to start the game of coming out already. Your first time on the field is having to defend them in their red zone, and that's a tough way to start. What did that do for the momentum maybe, or how did that feel to have to go out there thinking that you're going to be watching the offense for a while, and instead you're going out there having to defend, starting right there in the red zone?
I mean, it was just out of control. Like, it caught us by surprise, but it's like, well, we got to go on the field, so the most we could do was hold them to 3, but that didn't happen, so it wasn't ideal for us.
Yeah, and what is it for you guys that at the starts of the game, I know that before this game that was also something you guys had really talked about, trying to start a little faster, that again, even when you were giving up so few points, they were tending to come on those opening drives. And we know that's when opposing offenses have really tended to script things a lot, and I think it speaks highly to your ability to adjust, to be able to, they've planned all that, and then you guys were able to make adjustments, lock down the rest of the game. But what is it in those first drive or two so far this season that you guys feel like you aren't doing that you are able to do later in the game?
I don't know. I think, like, for some reason, we got a habit of just trying to fill people out first, which we shouldn't be doing, because it always costs us points. It's like we need to just go out there and just play our game. But I guess, like, for some, I don't know why it's like that, but it's like, it's almost like a habit that we can't break for some reason. So it's more of we just fill the guys out, see what their game plan is, and then once we figure out the game plan, now it's like, okay, this is what they want to do to us. Right. Instead of just being us, and then also figuring out what they want to do.
Imposing your will as compared to waiting to see what they do. Yeah. And I know that the run game is something in particular you guys have really taken pride in the last few years, and that this last game, 189 yards rushing from the Chiefs. What particularly in the rush game didn't go as well as you guys would have liked?
I mean, we wasn't making the plays when they came to us. We're missing tackles, and then when we actually do make a tackle, we're not running our feet. So running back, the power is driving. We stopping at the line of scrimmage, but they getting an extra push for like 3 or 4 extra yards. So that was like the major thing for us. So we we're just working, like, once we make initial contact, that's where the play is.
Mm-hmm. And I know that, so we've gone through the things that I know you guys kind of wish you could have done differently, but there definitely were still some positive things on the defensive side. And first, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Sean Murphy-Bunting getting in there, getting his first playing time on defense of the regular season and coming up with an interception right off the bat. Tell us a little bit about that play, and then just what that says about him to be able to, when called upon, go in there and make a big play like that.
I was really proud of Sean, knowing that this season hasn't been going like ideal for him, but the fact that he came in after like we had an injury. So we always have the next man up mentality. So I'm glad that he still would like be able to be a professional, and prepare like as if he was going to be in the game, because we seen like them run that concept a lot, and then to be able to make like to play the call and then recognize it for him, that was big for us, and I was really happy for him. I told like, man, wait, a great play, like, hey, you can make another one.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you're saying this was a play that you feel like this was a product of his film study, essentially.
Yeah, it was more of his preparation.
That's great. And Mike Edwards getting in there for a sack, only his second of his career, which I think A, speaks to his increased role this year, but B, the fact that, you know, Bowles likes to play a defense where anybody can do anything at any given time, it feels like. So tell me about that play and just what that has meant for a guy like Mike to be able to already have a sack, interception, some of those big splash plays so far.
You know, it just showed that he's a versatile player. Like, you can send him a blitz, he can cover. So like that was big for us because we needed that stop. And then the fact that, you know, most people, they struggle like with Mahomes because he's good at avoiding sacks. So for Mike to come in and just make a clean sack on him, that was big.
And then Anthony Nelson and Carl Nassib both getting in there to get sacks. What does that mean to see guys like them getting in there and getting, I know Anthony's already had a few this year, but when it's your non-starting outside linebackers also being able to come in and know that you have that kind of depth of guys that can get after someone as elusive as Patrick Mahomes. What did that tell you about both of those two guys and what you've seen from them so far?
You know, it just shows that we just have like guys that can get the job done for us. Like, once they on the field, like, I know I can trust them to get their job done. So all I know is if I do my part, they're gonna get the benefits of it because I know they're gonna win their one-on-ones.
It feels like you guys are really getting a lot of the big splash plays this year as a defense in terms of takeaways, sacks, things like that, some of those game-changing type of plays. I know that was a point of emphasis for you guys this offseason. What feels different this year that has let you guys do that, even in some games where, again, the big picture defensively didn't go how you wanted, but you're still producing some of those plays?
Like I said, maturity level, and then it's really like having trust with one another. So now, like, just going to like training camp, and then we watching film together, like, hey, if you see this is how we should play it. Cause like we always meet, like we try to meet as much as we can, so we can all see the same thing, so we know how like to play. Cause like DBs, we like on the string, so we all try to like move together. So like once we all like play in sync, then it's more play for us. And then our mindset is we need turnovers, and then we all want to like get our hands on the ball, but only way to do that, you gotta let the play come to you, and then you gotta put yourself in the right position.
All right, well, we have plenty more coming up here on Buccaneers Total Access from the Hooters Owl's Nest with cornerback Jamel Dean, brought to you by Frontier and Hooters. This is Buccaneers Radio. Welcome back into Buccaneers Total Access from the Hooters Owl's Nest. I am joined by cornerback Jamel Dean. And another thing from the defense I wanted to talk about that I've loved is that we've now a couple times gotten to watch Vita Vea drop into coverage, which may be one of my favorite sentences I've ever said, second only to Vita Vea in as a fullback on offense. But what is it like to watch a guy like him and to see that he is capable of doing that and what that means to the defense?
You know, it means a lot to it. It's actually fun to me. It's always funny to see like the bigger guys do our job.
Yeah.
Cause we always like make jokes like, man, I like mess with the D line. I have a better get off than you. And then they always say, well, I could drop in coverage better than you. So then to actually see him do it, it's it's kind of awkward seeing a guy, 300-pound guy just dropping the coverage. But he actually moved pretty good for it. But like in his zone though, that's the funny part. Like in Green Bay, he dropped his zone, and then had a good break on one of the coverages against Green Bay that caused that forced fumble.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that's incredible.
So now you have to prove that you can go in and play D-line,
yeah,
right?
now I got to just put my hand in the dirt and just get off on the ball.
Yeah,
beat the old lineman with a spin technique or something.
Yeah, he called your bluff there on that bet. That's amazing. So you brought it up at the beginning of the show about what you guys had to go through in terms of the hurricane this last week, and I know that everyone on the team, just like what you said, is going to say no excuses and you have to get the job done. But I would love to hear how this affected you guys in terms of your preparation, what it was like, and even just for you personally, when you heard what you guys were going to do and what the whole process was like, did you feel like it affected how you personally prepared, how the team overall, and just the biggest things you think you'll remember even from this wild and crazy week?
Well, I can't speak for others, but I know for myself, I'm a real routine guy. So like something that breaks routine, it would like juggle me a little bit, but I'm able to adjust. But just being there, just like last minute, like, hey, we might have to evacuate. Maybe we have to go to this city, but we not sure. So everything was like just going with like almost like going with the flow. Like you're not sure, like you can't plan ahead for like how you want to like schedule, like really like adjust your schedule to everything because you don't know. So for me, like it's kind of like okay, I'm used to this routine that I do weekly to get myself prepared for the game, but now I got to do this, I got to do that. I can't do this because I got to do this. So it's a lot.
Yeah, and what was it like to just watch even your team where there's families, there's kids, there's wives and girlfriends, even grandparents, there's dogs, there's a rabbit, there's a whole traveling circus essentially going down to Miami. What was that like to watch, and did you feel like you learned anything about your teammates on this trip?
And now he just showed me that like it's almost like I don't have a family, but just seeing like I like what this might be like how life would be having a family. Like as a man, you have to like just sacrifice whatever to make sure you got to do whatever you can to make sure your family is safe, even if it's just last minute packing. Like we got to evacuate, but like they handled it. Like seeing them like how the vets handle it, like they handled it pretty good. Like it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, we talked about how this start of the season has been, the best of your career, I would say so far. And it started with that 2-interception game against the Saints, which already meant you'd matched your career high for the season in one game. So tell us specifically about that game and those 2 interceptions. What went well for you that game, and how that felt, and what essentially got you to the point where you were on the field for those opportunities, prepared for it, and just what has built to that moment?
It all started in the off season, just understanding, like, just talking to like the offensive guys to see like how they see defense, and then talking to Coach Bowles, and then just him just let me know like how teams attacked us, and he told me that like, hey, this is the breakdown like the whole season, how like teams attacked us by formation, and then I just sat there and watched it the whole off season. So then just seeing all that, and then like just preparing for the week, just seeing that what I need to see, and then like. Actually, and then once I recognize in the game, now it's like I'm like at first I'm like, no way this is gonna happen, and then it ended up happening. I'm like, well now I just got to make the play.
Yeah.
So like the first one, I kind of recognized the play from film, and then I just made a play on the ball, and then the second one, I recognized that play too, and then I realized the ball was overthrown, so I was like. Oh, I got to make this play now. Like, an overthrown ball, like it's not too many opportunities you get where a quarterback just overthrows his receivers.
Yeah.
So being there like just make those plays, I was like, okay, I guess film study like really paying off for me.
Did you feel like this was a giant moment of I told you so from Coach Bowles in terms of how much he's worked on you on the mental side for you to now be admitting like, yeah, okay, maybe this film study thing works?
Yeah, it probably is I told you so. Like, I've been telling you this for so many years now, but it's finally sinking in. Like, you was a piece of work, but it's finally there.
Is that the sentiment that Coach Bowles has expressed to you, that you've been a piece of work for him?
Oh, I mean, just based off his action, you could tell that I was a piece of work for him.
So tell me a little bit more about the relationship that you guys have, and maybe how it's evolved or changed over the years.
Like it was almost like Bo was like almost like that father figure for me, and then I know like he's basically my teacher, my mentor. So like just ever since rookie year, I always just used to go out there and watch film with him, try to pick his brain. But at the time, like it couldn't register for me at the time because I was young. It was new to me. Mm-hmm. But now like he's aware that everything started sinking for me. So now he could tell me something, and then I'll just be like, all right, he knows that I understand.
You get it now.
Yeah, I get it now. So if I do mess up now, it's really like the penalty is almost like 5 times worse now.
He's like, because I know you know how to do this.
Yeah, because I know you know now.
And also I know he will let you hear about it, because we always hear about how Coach Bowles is one of the best trash talkers around. Do you have any particular memories of some pretty vicious Todd Bowles trash talk directed at you?
Talking about during the game?
Anytime. Game, practice, meeting rooms. I think I've heard it doesn't really have a restraint on where it happens.
Oh, mainly like it was just even after the Saints game when I had the 2 interceptions, So he was still like, no, like I guess in the court, I'm to their sideline. So of course he's in my ear before the play starts. So he'll just like, D, back up. D, I told you back up. This, that, blah. So then the play happened, like we got off the field. And then he's like, I don't care that you got 2 interceptions, this and that. I'm still going to be on you. Like, I'm sorry, Bowles. Jeez.
Never good enough.
Yeah, like it's so hard. It's so hard to please you.
This is incredible. We're talking to cornerback Jamel Dean. Do you ever try to give it back to him, or does that feel like a risky move?
It might be a risky move. 'Cause if you try to give it back to him, then most likely he gonna find something on you this where he just gonna like rub it in.
He's
like,
always gonna have the last word.
Yeah, he's always gonna have the last word.
That's amazing. And what has it meant to you to have him for your whole career? I mean, so many people in this league end up having to switch coordinators all the time or position coaches all the time. And do you feel like that is a big part of why you, like you've talked about, that it finally sinks in for you now, is that consistency?
Yeah, it's like just having that consistency and then just being around a coach for years. So like it's almost like he's developing you instead of like, okay, he developed me for this year, then now I got to learn a new system from this guy. So like it helps out a lot knowing that you be around someone that just consistently teaching you the same teach you the same way, even just really teaching, because a lot of coaches, they probably not out here like teaching their players the game, but Bowles, he really like, he would literally sit down and like just teach you, and he would tell you why he's doing certain things, and this is why you should play it this way, and then like have the evidence to back it up.
And what do you think it is about his defense that, besides just him being able to teach you, being willing to sit down and do that, the actual scheme that he has, what do you most like about it in terms of how it affects a corner specifically?
Well, I like it because it like if you understand the defense, it allows the corners to like make a lot of plays. So like if you know why he's calling a certain play for certain like pass concept, you know what to anticipate. So that's why, he get a little frustrated when he do call certain things and then we don't actually make the play on it. He be like, I just sat there and just told you like this is going to happen.
Which is the worst thing. You never want to let him get the "I told you so."
Yeah. You don't. You're like, it's just when it happens, you just don't even bother to look to the sideline. Just ignore
it, which I'm sure he loves. You talked about the importance of the secondary moving on a string and all being one unit. Tell me the ways that you guys work together during the week, how the meetings and practices are broken down, the way that, because we've seen now even Antoine, who was a safety, is now kind of playing at nickel, and the way that this defense in particular makes you guys all really have to be more like one position group instead of two.
Yeah, so mainly like we all like watching film, like we always good on the film, like, hey, I saw this on film. How are you guys going to play this? Because we see it like this. How you guys see it? So it's almost like having like a confirmation between us two. So when we get to like before practice start, we'll discuss and then to go through and a walk through it, and then the practice when it happens full speed. So now it's like, okay, we like it better. Like we like it like better like this. This how we should see it playing out in the game as well. So then during the game, you be like, hey, remember this play?
Yeah, and how about Coach Ross? Tell me what you like about him as a position coach, and especially having, I mean, you have him and then Coach Bowles, who both played in the league, and how that can affect the way they're able to coach you and the way you guys are able to interact.
So as corners, we know that Rock knows what he's talking about because he played the position.
Yeah.
He played it
pretty dang well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why not listen to it? Cause he know what we going through. He's seen it. He's seen everything we see. So like just being able to like having that like understanding with him, like it's not like one of the coaches where they buy the book. He just coaching us based off of experience. Cause every time he be like, well, I don't coach robots, but if I see this, I'm gonna play it this way because of what I went through, and I would hate for you guys to experience what I went through, not doing it this way. And then so like it's like, okay, why not take his word on it? Because he played freaking 14 years in the league. Like it extends beyond like the average years of a football player plays in the league.
Yeah, that's a long career. And How about with Casey Rogers and Larry Foote taking over kind of larger roles on the defense because of Coach Bowles getting promoted? Did that have any effect on you guys in terms of the way you related to, these two guys who were not your position coaches, but now they have some roles like a defensive coordinator? Did that change anything for you guys, or is that more on the coaching side?
It's more on the coaching side. But I mean, they still it's still the same for us because they still give us their input of what they seen on the film, and then we take that in consideration too, because like we all got to see the same thing on defense.
Right. And how about for you getting to still play alongside Carlton after all these years of getting to be seeing him at Auburn, and then now you guys are the two starting outside corners here. I imagine that going back to college, to imagine that you two would go on to play opposite each other in the NFL and win a Super Bowl together, that would have just blown your minds back then.
Yeah, it really blows it. It actually started in high school because I've been knowing, because back when Ohio State would recruit us, both of us was committed to Ohio State.
Oh, that's crazy.
So we've been knowing each other for years.
Yeah.
So then I guess one time for the Simplified All-American game in high school in California. So I got there early, so I thought I had a room to myself. So I was taking a nap.
You were just living
the
life.
I got a whole room to myself, and then I heard someone open the door, and I moved the cover from my head and seeing Carlton walk in. I was like, wow, this guy my roommate too?
Yeah, I can't get right away from him.
Yeah, it just seemed like we just been following each other for years. So being able to be side by side in Auburn and then Tampa Bay, and then winning the Super Bowl together, it's memories that we're gonna always cherish forever.
That's incredible. And what have you seen of how he has grown and changed? The fact that you have gotten to watch him high school, college, and pro, how have you seen him on the field and off? Who has Carlton been throughout all of that?
Well, I mean, Carlton has always been the same with me. He's the same guy I met since high school. So I just like the fact that he hasn't changed. And now that we in the league together, so we really like this.
Yeah.
We almost do everything together. So it's almost just being on the field, being on the field with each other. We know that we can trust one another to get the job done. And then whenever one makes a play, it's always excitement between us two. And it's yeah, we worked our whole life for this.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what has made him so successful on the field? What are the things that maybe we don't even notice or see that have given him the success he's had?
Well, no, it just his passion for the game. He take pride in want to be one of the best corners in the league. So a lot of teams respect him, and a lot of teams respect him. They know what he's capable of, long, tall, can run, and then can make plays on the ball. You can't really ask more for a corner like him. Cause he take pride in film study, and he take care of his body as much as he can. So it's really big inspiration. Inspiration seeing him do that, knowing that I've been knowing you for this year, and I'm just seeing you grow as a player each year. So it makes it's just real motivating. Why? Yeah, I was looking at myself why can't I be like that too?
Yeah, you want to be like Carlton. That's great. All right, we have plenty more coming up here on Buccaneers Total Access from the Hooters Owl's Nest with cornerback Jamel Dean, brought to you by Frontier and Hooters. This is Buccaneers Radio. Welcome back into Buccaneers Total Access from the Hooters Owl's Nest. I'm joined by cornerback Jamel Dean, and we were talking about your Auburn days, and I would love to just a little bit more talk about your journey football-wise, because I think you have one of the most inspiring stories in terms of football and what you've gone through to still be playing here at this point. So take us through a little bit about your recruitment. You mentioned Ohio State recruiting you, and what happened to you in high school, that the reason we're talking about you going to Auburn and not Ohio State.
So it started back in high school. I got my first offer going into my junior year in high school, and it was Ohio State.
Heck of a first offer.
Right, I know, right? So then I took a visit there, and I just loved the campus because it was new for me, because I never really been outside of Florida, and to go from Florida all the way up north to see how it is up north.
The white stuff that isn't sand, that's snow.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So once I went up there, man, they just I at that moment there, I was like, yeah, I'm all Ohio State. So any school that tried to come talk to me, they drove off. I told them nah, I'm good. I'm all Ohio State, man. I'm going there. I'm committed.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I ended going into my senior year, I had already made the decision to early enroll, so to get there in the spring semester. So like mind you, my junior year, I ended up tearing my ACL and my meniscus all like literally on it was like the last week of the practice, last day of the practice. So I ended up tearing that, and then got surgery done, and then like going into my senior year, my last game of my senior year, I retore my meniscus. So instead of like repairing it, they just shaved it off. So like now I go to Ohio State. I send them my MRI before I go out there. I'm like, hey, I just had surgery, and this is the results right now. So they're like, oh, you good? You just gotta come up there and rehab, and then you'll be fine. So then now I get there, and then I get another MRI done, and all of a sudden it's just completely different. So now they was telling me like, yeah, this and that, the way your knee set up, we don't see you playing for a program like Ohio State, but you can play anywhere else that's not like Ohio State. So in my mind, I'm like, that don't make sense to me. Yeah. So I could play anywhere else that's other than Ohio State. That's what y'all telling me? And they're like, yeah, like we had a guy that had the same situation as you, and he couldn't withstand our workout. And I was like, well, can I get the same opportunity that this guy had?
Yeah.
To see my knee holder, not just, but they wasn't trying to hear that. So they're like, yeah, they're like, the way your knee set up, even if we did let you play, you would have like a 3% chance of being successful in football. So I was like, wow. I'm a math guy. I was trying to figure out like where this percentage came from.
Yeah, it's a very random percent.
Not
0, not 5 or 10.
Like 3?
3.
Like Jesus Christ. But I like, you know what? I'll take my chances on that. So,
so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, like it's a chance, like 3%. It wasn't 0, but I'll take my chances on it. So while on campus, I ended up going to see Dr. James Andrew at his institution in Gulf Breeze, Florida. So like, it was like a leap of faith. Like luckily my friend dad, he had like connects to where he reached like able like to reach out to him and give me that opportunity to see him, because I heard that he was like one of the best doctors like in the country.
Yeah.
So went to go see him, and then he checked me out. He was like, yeah, this and that. Like, oh well, your knees look pretty good. All you need to do is just rehab and all that stuff. So I like, all right,
you're like,
cool.
This is what I've been trying to say.
All right, cool. So now doing like the whole. Now I'm still around Ohio State, so I ended up finished out my semester. I'm talking to Auburn because like apparently other schools that I was talking to Ohio State, they were telling like, hey, the way his knee set up, he won't be able to play for you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, like they were just, like basically just bashing my name to like other schools.
Man.
But the fact that they was like anytime any big time school was trying to like look at me, they were bashing, but like any small schools.
They're like, oh, sure.
Yeah, they were like, oh, cool, like, we good with it.
Yeah.
So now Auburn talking to me this day, they're like, yeah, this and that, we like you. We had a scholarship rate because, like, you already passed, like, the medical exams with our doctor. I was like, wait a minute, like, y'all team doctor is Dr. Andrews? He's like, yeah. So this, like, I was like, oh, wow, look how that comes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, they ended up making a transfer to Auburn. That back then before the whole rules changed with college where you could transfer and still play the same. Now, back then it was you transfer, now you have to sit out the red shirt. So I made it through the whole red shirt year, and then going to my first season eligible to play in like a regular game, I ended up tearing my other ACL.
Oh my gosh. I cannot imagine mentally at that point.
Oh man, I was depressed. Like I was just saying, like, is football really for me at this point? Like, is it a sign? But that's when like the whole thing about mental health. That's why I really like spoke about that, because I was really like that was like the lowest I ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to just be done with college, football, with just everything. Cause I was just like, it's like what I'm here for. Like, I feel like I don't have a purpose because everything keeps setting me back. But I luckily I had like good people. I had like good support system. So I pushed through, and then like the very next year, I finally was able to play football like healthy. So it took like maybe like what?
It was 4 years almost between like 2 years in high school. You're dealing with those and sitting out a year.
Yeah,
and then
like so it's like I couldn't like really it's like I couldn't really even finish the season. So when I finally like got healthy and was able to play, like I feel like I just like overcame a hump.
Yeah. That's incredible. And we're talking to cornerback Jamel Dean. And especially to hear about all those knee injuries and that one of the biggest things you're known for is your speed is just incredible. And it speaks to how well you rehabbed and how much work you put in to get to this point. I mean, you ran, what, a 4.3 at the Combine? Is that right?
4.30.
4.30, man. That's incredible. And would you say, where would you put yourself on the team in terms of speed?
Oh, I'm going to always say I'm the fastest until someone beats me. They have to show, somebody really have to beat me in a race for me to not believe that they're faster.
That they're faster than you. That's amazing. I love that. And I heard that you even had to give up the chance to go to the state track meet because you were playing spring football back.
Yeah, man. So I was a football and track guy.
Yeah.
So I sacrificed my last year of track just to early enroll. Because I was on a good track, besides me tearing my ACL my junior year. So, my sophomore year, I went 10.5 in the 100. So, I was projected, to go, 10 flat or 9 just out of my senior year. But I forfeit that.
Man, that's how you knew you loved football. What do you think you could run now?
I give myself maybe about, a 10.4.
Yeah? That's not too shabby.
If I actually train for it, drop a couple pounds, I like myself at, 10.4.
You like your chances there? Did you ever think at that time when you were considering not playing football or you didn't know what was going to happen to your career, did you think about what you would do instead?
So I always had my plan getting my mechanical engineering degree.
Wow.
But apparently that's another crazy story that happened with me. So in high school, I did the dual enrollment program where I took college classes in high school, so I could already have those credit hours going into the university. Cause my mindset, I was just let me get my credit now, so when I get to college, I can graduate early, and then I could actually leave to go to the league early.
Yeah.
But I still have my degree. Mm-hmm. But when I got I guess from Ohio State, so when my credit transfer from Ohio State to Auburn, they basically saw oh man, you're technically a sophomore, so you're really behind because you missed out on your freshman year you didn't take your freshman year classes. But I'm just this is my freshman year.
Yeah.
Technically. So I was wow, I really got punished for being an overachiever.
That's so crazy. So you would have wanted to do engineering, if not for football.
Yeah, I was gonna be a mechanical engineer, because I was a nerd in math. Math came so easy for me.
That's why you got hung up on that 3% chance of playing football.
That's what threw me off with the 3%.
So do you feel like that's something you would still want to do after football now?
Well, nah, I done been out of
now we've forgotten the math.
Yeah, I done been out of school too long, so now I'm just more focused on just learning different investments now. I've been
you're doing the Carl Nassib, learning about investing here. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've been ever since I got to league, I've been reading books lately about investment. I've been I've been reading books on real estate, reading books on trucking, the trucking industry. So
I think it's safe to say you're still a nerd. I think we can.
Yeah,
safely...
I still like learning. As of right now, I'm learning a second language now. So
no way. What are you learning?
I'm learning Spanish.
That's awesome. How good are you at this point?
So I can hear it, but I just got to work on speaking, be more confident speaking.
Can we hear a phrase? Say something in Spanish for us. Let's hear how you're doing.
Oh, la vida es una.
Oh, okay. What does that mean?
Life is only one.
Oh, okay. I like that you're not even just learning Spanish, you're learning inspirational phrases in Spanish. How are you excited for the trip to Germany? Do you feel like you might want to learn a little German?
Just to be able to have small conversation, makes it I know a little German, but I might learn a little phrase and just to walk around and try it out.
That's amazing.
So cause I'm now that just visiting different countries, it opened my mind more of just being more open minded, just seeing other countries, their ways of living life. So I got a different appreciation level because I know United States is not the only country in the world.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that. And so for you, looking back at you, obviously were into football very early and very young. Who do you remember watching that inspired you and that you really tried to model your game after when you were younger?
Oh, so really, it was Richard Sherman.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
So I was always watching. So I like watching Richard Sherman. So I he's my he just I'm tall just like him. This and that.
Yeah.
And then being able to have him be on the same team as I was like,
oh my God, you're
oh my
out.
God.
You're having a little starstruck moment.
Yeah, it's just a Richard Sherman in the flesh.
I love that NFL players can geek out over other NFL players. That like people would feel that way about you. People would be like, "Oh my gosh, I get to meet Jamel Dean," and then you're saying, "Oh my gosh, this is Richard Sherman."
Yeah, so like that was like probably like that was probably like the highlight of my career, just being able like to say like, yes, I played with Richard Sherman, the guy I like I try to idol my game after.
That's incredible. Do you feel like he helped you out or was speaking any wisdom into you?
Oh man, he like just being around, just having him in my presence made me want to be better, and then him like giving me like tips and like how like he actually like taught me like prepare like being prepared like how to prepare for a game, and then like just playing better like so like trusting. He was basically like telling me like, look, trust what you see. You watch film, you study. Like why like the opposition already hard, so like just watch film, and then like if they don't show you that, if the offense don't show you that they doing X, Y, and Z, don't play for it. Play for what you see.
Yeah.
Cause my mind, I was just like, dang, what if they do this? What if they do that? Like, what did they show it? I like no. Like, well, then what are you playing for? Just play what you see. I like,
Oh.
you know what?
Yeah.
I would try that.
That's amazing. All right, we have one more segment coming up here on Buccaneers Total Access from the Hooters Owl's Nest with cornerback Jamel Dean, brought to you by Frontier and Hooters. This is Buccaneers Radio. And it's time for our final segment here on Buccaneers Total Access from the Hooters Owl's Nest with cornerback Jamel Dean. We were talking about how you grew up watching Richard Sherman and that was a guy that was very influential in your career. Who do you like watching now that's playing currently?
Who I like watching currently, you know, I enjoy watching Trayvon Diggs because his ball skill is just amazing. And then really Darius Slay. I really like watching Darius Slay because man, in my eyes, he don't get enough credit, but he's probably like one of the best corners in the game right now. Even though he don't granted Jalen Ramsey. Mm-hmm. You know, we know who he is.
Yep.
But I just feel like Darius Slay don't get enough like recognition. Interesting.
And how about some of the other guys that you're playing with back in the secondary? You mentioned how important it was for you to have a vet like Richard Sherman come on the team. How about a guy like Logan Ryan? What have you seen from the way that he's come in here and got his first interception as a Buccaneer last week, and what he's meant to the secondary and to this defense so far?
Really like the whole like just being able to like just share his experiences, and then being able like to communicate with us like, hey, look, this when you get this. See, when you get this certain formation, this is what you get. And then he's always just like basically just communicating with us the whole game, like letting us know what to be aware of. So like having that vet in the back end like helps out a lot too. Cause sometimes you get like so caught up in the moment, and then you need him to be like, hey, remember this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. Just stick to the gameplay. Like he brings like
a calming presence.
Like a calming presence, always positive.
Yeah, that's cool. And how about, we briefly talked earlier about Antoine Winfield moving into the slot, more into the nickel position. What have you seen from him? And explain to people how impressive that is that, A, he was already a guy who came in as a rookie and played for a Super Bowl championship team at an incredibly high level, and then to already be essentially playing a different position this quickly and at a high level in the NFL. Tell us how difficult what he's doing is.
You know, it's real difficult to go from like safety. I mean, it's almost like safety and nickel is almost like the same thing, so it wasn't really a hard transition for him. But like physicality, like just like the physicality wise is a little different because now you guarding like slot receivers more. Mm-hmm. So like for him to like make that transition and still like execute and still be able to make plays, like it's really like shows like he's very versatile.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so now looking ahead to this next game, we're talking to cornerback Jamel Dean. You got the Atlanta Falcons coming in here, and I know in particular, does it feel like it is important to get a win at home after not starting that way so far this year?
I mean, now after like last night loss, now it's like very important because now it's a race for like the number one spot in the division because we're tied with Atlanta right now. So now this game gonna determine who's number one. So like if we could like control like at least be able to control our destiny, like we have to get a W. We have to win.
Yeah.
Because like we lose now, we number 2, and then no telling like they could probably win. They could probably win out. Mm-hmm. So like. Why not? Like, if we could, like, at least control, like, the variables, like, we need to win.
Yeah, and it does make this game feel, even this early in the season, important when it is every divisional game matters so much. So looking at the Falcons had been a team that had a lot of similarities for a long time, especially on their offense, that they were, you had Matt Ryan, you had Julio Jones, you had Russell Gage, and then now you guys have stolen a couple of those. Matt Ryan's moved on. You have Marcus Mariota there. And one of the nice things about a divisional opponent is that you typically know them so well already, but now this is a very different looking offense in some ways for them. So what do you feel like the biggest things are going to be that you have to look out for, or what could be similar or different to some of those previous matchups with them?
I mean, I haven't started watching film on them yet, but I'm pretty sure we gotta be ready for a mobile quarterback, because we know Marcus Mariota, he can run. He got some speed to him, and then they have receivers that can make plays on the ball. Like, well, Kyle Pitts not a receiver, but he plays like a receiver.
Right.
You got Kyle Pitts, and then the rest of the guys they have, like, I'm not sure who they are. I gotta watch film again. So, like, you can't take them lightly. You can't take them lightly, because they very aware of the situation. Like, this is a race for the number one spot.
Yeah. And so you mentioned watching film, and we've talked about how you feel like you're so much better at preparing for a game. What does that prep look like for you now? Like, you're about to start watching film for the Falcons. What are the things that you like to watch for that, and how that's maybe changed of the little things that for you would be, all right, now I feel prepared for this game?
I normally watch film based off of formation, and then I just identify which player, what's each receiver role in this offense. So that's what I look for. And then so now I'll be able to figure out, okay, this person lines up here. I could dictate which concept I'm going to get based off of who's where.
Yeah.
So that's really big. So I basically just watch about formation and see what they like to do. And then I watch about the game to see, like, okay, what is their, like, go-to? Like, once I watch about a game, then I see about, like, situation now. What they do in this situation, what they do other situation, who are they going to, and what's their favorite, like, their pass concept. So once I, like, figure that out, then I like, okay, I got a good understanding of, like, what they do in each formation.
Yeah. And who did you say are the toughest people you've had to go against, either this year or just your career overall, that when it comes to preparing to go against somebody, or even just the actual in the game, who's really tough to cover?
Really tough to, like our receivers, like Mike Evans, Julio, and then even the year before, Antonio Brown. Like, man,
your toughest matchups have been at practice.
Yeah, it's always been at practice. And then granted, like maybe like outside of the facility, maybe one of my toughest matchups was probably DK Metcalf, where they got me to, like, my welcome to the NFL game. But now it's a little different now. So who else? Who was probably, like, my toughest matchup? Calvin Ridley too. Like, he's like a real fluid guy in his route running.
Yeah. And you talked about Mike. What was it like to watch him get a chance to come back and make up for lost time, shall we say?
Oh man, it's like he didn't miss a beat.
Yeah. Two touchdowns,
man. Couple nice grabs. Like, man, like, well, this is what we were missing out on last week. He shows why he's Mike Evans.
Yeah, and why he's a little hard for you in practice to do it.
Yeah, I'd be watching other coaches like, yeah.
I know what that's like. I know how bad this is for you. So for you, top goal for this next week individually, and then maybe as a defense?
As a defense, man, we just got to be able to, like, just bounce back from a bad game. Like, we played terrible, and it's always about how you respond. Because now we show, like, where we're weak at, and it's like, can we grow from that? So, like, really big is just making the correction so it don't happen again. And then for me, I just want to get my hands on the ball. Either I don't want a PBU, I want interceptions now, but can't complain with PBUs where you really can't complain.
Yeah, yeah. Bulls will find a way to complain to you, right?
You really can't complain.
All right, well, that is going to do it for us. Jamel, thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome, and thanks to all of you guys for listening. This has been Buccaneers Total Access from the Hooters Owl's Nest with cornerback Jamel Dean, brought to you by Frontier and Hooters. This is Buccaneers Radio.